Hey, what's up, family? Welcome back to the podcast. I got my brother, Pastor Marcus McGhee. It's going to be a great interview, Raw and Uncut with Pastor Marcus McGhee. Before I begin, bro, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Well, yeah, like my bro said, my name is Pastor Marcus McGhee. I'm the lead pastor of Truth Valley Church, founder and lead pastor of Truth Valley Church in Phoenix, Arizona, on the
Yeah.
ministry side. And then I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a brother, uh, cousin, a friend, all those things. So definitely into the community and into my family big. So yeah, that's who I am.
Gotcha. I love that, man. And we're going to get to these questions because I really want to ask you a lot of questions I've been wanting to ask you for a long time, bro. But we're going to get to it. But as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and dive right in because one thing I do is to get straight to it. So the first question I have for you today is before ministry, right? Before the title of Pastor Marcus, right? Who are you? Again, you kind of answered already, but who are you before that? And what did God have to bring you through to get you to this place?
Man, so yeah, before that, I definitely say I'm a father. That's the number one job that God has given me.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
to raise my kids. Ministry starts at home, right? Ministry starts at home, and so before you can minister to others, you got to do the work of ministering to your children. And so that's kind of that's
Yeah.
the number one role I have. I take that really seriously. It's
Good.
um it's a balance, man. And so you want to make sure you got first things first. It's one of the things I like to say. Make sure you
Yeah.
have first, and you got a great relationship with your kids. I thankfully have a great relationship with my kids, and so
Yeah.
that's important. That's first and foremost. Secondly, I would say
Yeah.
I'm a friend. I got the honor of being your lead pastor, right? And
Yes, sir.
I'm working in ministry with you for over 5 years now, almost six
Right.
years. And I take being a friend very, very, that's huge. That's important. And
Yeah.
so, as believers, as Christians, as pastors, and all this other stuff, we kind of look at our titles, I think, sometimes, and those titles become define who we are. But one
Yeah.
of the
Right.
things that God really spent a lot of time with me last year doing
Mhm.
was the end of last year and the beginning of this year is like, okay, you want to be a better father, you want to be a better pastor, you want to be, a better son and brother, all these different things. It starts with being a better believer, just being a better Christian, just
Yeah,
strip
that's good.
down beyond the titles. What makes a better pastor? Being a better Christian. So
Yeah.
I think at the core of all those things that I want to do, and my first job is being, a dad, which is the greatest job in the world. I think outside of that, who I am core is I'm a believer. You know,
Right.
at my core, a child of the King, and so once you kind of settle that and for me, going after that and to be a better Christian, just
Right.
just kinder to people, seek righteousness, right?
Yeah.
Um, I was just teaching on this the other night, or last night, or breastplate of righteousness, right?
Yeah.
The breastplate of righteousness, it protects the vital organs, right?
Right. It does. Yeah.
So right works, going after doing the right stuff will protect your heart, it'll protect your spirit. It'll keep
Right.
you a pure person at heart, right? Give you a heart that's after God. And
Right.
so for me, at my core, I want to be a person that has a heart that is after God and just be a really good believer. So that's kind of, it's a
Yeah.
great first because that's been something definitely I've been dealing with over this last year, stripping all that stuff down, down all the titles, stripping down all the stuff
Yeah. There
that
you go.
people
Right.
call or look for you to be, and just, bro, just simply being a good believer, being a good Christian, a good disciple,
Yeah.
um, and that if you have that good Christian worldview of I want to be good at this, it'll funnel out into every other relationship you got.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I kind of agree with a lot of stuff that you said. You mentioned about being a father and stripping away the titles. You know what I mean? How hard is that though to really strip away those titles? Because again, people they put pastors on a pedestal, right? You got to be like baby Jesus, basically. You know what I mean? And you can't make no mistakes. You can't get mad. You can't do nothing because they put you on this pedestal. So how do you deal with that? Because you are a pastor, right? And that's what God called you to. But how do you I know you do it personally, but how do you navigate that when people are always looking at you that way?
You know what? That's a good thing. That's a good question.
Yeah.
You have to you have to divorce the identity of I'm a pastor in some ways.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Tell me about that. Okay.
And so yes, we want to walk worthy of our calling. Yes, we know
Yeah.
called to be as a pastor. We can look at the Pauline epistles and read Titus and Timothy and all these things to tell us what we're called to be as a pastor. Those things absolutely are true. We believe in scripture, high authority. We're gonna go by that.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
you can't let the title of pastor and all the things that the world wants to keep on who that is define who you are. For
Right.
me, I strive not to let pastor define my personality.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
That's good.
because I'm a pastor, I gotta talk with a pastoral accent. I gotta,
You
you know
already
what I mean?
know. Yeah. Right.
I need to go buy myself a Cadillac and wear gaiters and
All of that.
all of that. Some of us,
Yeah.
that's what we saw as kids, and that's what we kind of thought that's a pastor, right? Has
Right.
nothing to do with the Pauline epistles. It has nothing to do with
Nothing.
walking upright. It doesn't have anything to
Right.
do with all the things the Bible is calling us to be
Yeah.
as pastors are the example we see in Christ in the scripture. It had everything to do with the culture and a persona
Yeah.
that we have said a pastor is. It can be hard to fight, bro, because
Yeah.
honestly, some people are looking for that to legitimize your call,
Right.
right?
True. Yeah.
So they won't even believe you're a pastor really unless you walk, talk, dress,
And be a certain way. Yeah.
be a
True.
way
That's very
like a
true.
pastor. But there's
Right.
danger in that because then you become a cookie cutter and you don't become the things that God called you to be unique, right?
Wow.
Uh,
That's good. Yeah.
and,
True.
and God doesn't need another TD Jakes. He doesn't need another Philip Anthony.
Right.
He's called me to be Pastor Marcus, and
Yeah.
and within the guise of what God said that has to be, I gotta be who I am. I gotta be my
Yeah.
personality. I got to, and that includes my faults and my mistakes, my
All of
past,
it. Yeah.
all of that. I bring that to the pastorate so that I can pastor the best I can. I want to be authentic to myself,
Right.
but being authentic to yourself is so important as a pastor, so you don't become that cookie cutter. You don't become what everybody expects you to be.
Yeah.
So I try not to let my title become my identity.
Oh,
Um,
wow. That's good.
I am a child of God and I pastor. This
There you
is
go.
this is my assignment. This is not my identity, right?
Right.
Because I mean, I might get to the point where God says, "Okay, that's it. We pivoting." You know,
Right. Yeah. That
you,
happens.
you you're not pastoring anymore. I'm changing. You're gonna be an evangelist. You're not pastoring anymore. I want you to go be a missionary somewhere. And if my
Right.
idea is so caught up in I'm Pastor Marcus,
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna feel lost. I'm gonna feel unaccomplished. I'm gonna feel all those things, and so that is a battle because, like you said, people always
Yeah.
want to look at you as a certain thing. So it's a battle. It's to hold on to that identity with both hands. Of
Yeah.
I'm not just Pastor Marcus. I'm a child of God first.
Right, that's a really good answer because it makes me think about, for some reason, my mind went to basketball for some reason. Somebody could be in the NBA for a long period of time, but some people don't know who they are outside of basketball. Basketball is everything. So when they retire, they don't know what to do with themselves. They just
Mhm.
all over the place, all because they didn't really know or have a plan after that, right? There wasn't a person outside of that. So I definitely makes sense. I definitely agree with you on that. Because I know a lot of different preachers and young preachers out there watching this, what I mean? Just be you, be who God created you to be, right? Because I see some preachers, and I can call no names, but I know some preachers that try to be like somebody else, trying to mimic somebody else, the way they preach, the way they walk, the way they talk. Like, you don't have to be that. And some of these guys, I know we talked about it in times past, they be young, try to have an old soul, act like they're extra old. It's like, you don't got to do that. I ain't trying to take no shots, but I'm saying you don't have to do that. You can be your young, authentic self, because I think that's the best person that can, edify the body of Christ, right? Being your authentic self, because God made you, He created you for a reason. He made you the way you are with the personality for a reason. So I feel like it's a slap in God's face, low key, when you're trying to be something else than what He wanted you to be. You know what I mean? So I think it's a lesson for all of us to really understand that. Did you have something else on that?
Yeah, I just piggybacking off of that. We all have our
Yeah,
mentors. Of course, we all have people we look up to, and we all stand on the shoulders of preachers and pastors and teachers, evangelists who came before us. And so there is some
right.
natural down, of course. But like you're saying, if you just becoming a strict copycat, what are you doing?
What are
Like
you
you said,
doing? Right.
made you unique, right? It made you unique, and so that uniqueness, I'm telling you, you'll
Yeah.
find you'll find some of the greatest growth in that uniqueness within your ministry, right? Because there's
Yeah.
some that are going to be called to you for as a pastor, as a
100%.
there's some people who will learn and will connect with the way you teach, the way you preach, the way you do things. And if so, if you become just simply a copycat, we all learn
Right.
from. But if you become a copycat, that uniqueness is not being used,
Right.
and so
100%.
there's people that you're going to miss out on that the real you would have caught. But
Right.
the
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
them fish is going to be just going right through the net because you got the wrong bait.
Right.
Use your the bait God gave you. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. That's a great answer. I love you. Thank you for that, bro. So and speaking of ministry, right? So we're gonna go a little deeper. Now we're gonna start talking about your personal life.
Okay.
um, but anyway, the first one is like, can you take us back to the moment you knew God was calling you into ministry? You knew God was calling you to be a pastor. Can you take us back to that moment and what happened?
Okay, I appreciate this question. Listen, I get this question a lot,
Yeah.
and I feel like this question, my answer to this question, I leave people like wanting more. Like that wasn't what they was expecting. I feel like that's what they really was trying to ask me. So
Right.
I'm gonna lay it out there. Everybody's story is different. Mine's different. So I got saved when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Like real saved. Like I'm not talking. I was like I meant it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Yeah, you
Nobody
mentioned.
forced me. Nobody. It wasn't just a good. This. Listen. This wasn't a youth church. Not to say you can't get saved there. This wasn't.
Right.
Not saying you can't get saved there either. I was in
Yeah.
big folk church, and I
Yeah.
remember for the last few years I have been bringing my Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles and playing in the back of the church. And then one day I heard the message and it made sense.
Right.
So shout out to Pastor Dennis M. Brown, God rest his soul. I remember
Yeah.
it start making sense. Brother would preach and he kind of sang like he was he get on the guitar, he would sing like he was Elvis a little bit. Yeah, whatever. But I remember it well. It was a
Yeah.
tiny church. It might have been about 20 of us in there, tops. That
Right.
was on day. And I remember I went from not really caring to now hanging on every word this guy was saying. And
Wow.
so I gave my life to the Lord that summer between I don't know, fifth and sixth grade, fourth and fifth, I don't know. In the summertime, gave my life to the Lord, right?
Yeah.
And I began to pray. I really began to pray, like, God, what do you want out of my life? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Right.
I, Spirit of God on my heart, you're gonna pastor. Okay.
Mm.
All right. All right. So I kept praying, kept getting the same answer. And then
Right.
over time, I have people coming into you got a ministry on you. You're gonna be a pastor one day. I see it.
Yeah.
You
Right.
got now listen, every little Pentecostal kid probably have had some similar experience, but
Yeah. Right.
but it confirmed what I was praying about at that
Right.
young age. So for me, it's always been like I got saved. I asked God. He told me. He put it in my heart. I'm a pastor. So I believe. So for me, I can't remember too much of time before I felt like I was going to pastor a church. And
Yeah.
then
Right.
and then if you ask my mom, she'll tell you when I was 3 years old, I was setting up the stuffed animals, preaching to them,
Right.
and
Right.
I was grabbing my bathrobe, wrapping it around me like it was the. So
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that helps anybody because
It
people
does
are
though.
like,
Seriously.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm grown. What you talking about? You knew since you was 10. But that's just how my story went. I preached my first message when I was 11. I was
Oh
a youth
wow.
pastor by the time I was 19, youth and young adult by the time I was 22, 23. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
ministry. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't no struggles, no ups and downs, got
Of
married young,
course.
divorced, all that. Listen,
Yeah.
all that stuff was part of my story. But
Right.
the idea of what God had called me to do, it came pretty early. So I always tell people, what are you passionate about? If you're looking for your purpose, what do spend time in prayer. The more you dwell
Yeah.
with God, that's one thing I'll say about
There it
10-year
is.
old
Yeah.
was up late in the middle of the night, in my bed, just praying to God, asking him what he wanted me to do. And I felt him speak to me. So I would say,
Wow.
do this. Spend time. The more you dwell in God's presence, the more you'll recognize what God wants out of your life. And so
Yeah.
nothing like being to the vine. That's how you produce fruit. Get connected, spend time, dwell in his presence. And I think whatever he
Yeah.
has for else individually who's watching this, he'll reveal it to you.
Man, that's awesome, and I believe that's some really great advice. You know, a little funny question for you, real quick. Do you remember what that first message was when you was 11? Your first message. How did you do? Did you do good? Did you
I
struggle a
remember.
little bit?
I remember it quite well.
Yeah.
I preached through the Lord's Prayer, right?
Okay, that's a good one
Yeah, I
to
preached
start
through the
out.
Lord's Prayer. Our Father, because He's our daddy. You know,
There you
hallowed be
go.
thy name, because we gotta honor His name. We gotta listen. We be throwing it around too. I remember it was good. So to me, I mean, the way I remember it, I got off. I was in my bag. Okay,
You did good.
I
Right.
remember church going crazy, standing ovation, spirit moved. I
Well,
felt
praise
like
the Lord then.
now, revisionist history. I don't. They probably.
Right.
Woo, revisionist. I don't know if I were to see. Let me just say this. I'm glad a lot of those early messages. There is no. There's no tape. There's no.
We gotta
It's not
find those tapes, guys.
before YouTube, y'all. This is before. Like, we didn't have all that. So, and I thank God for that, because,
Yeah.
woo, you got to grow.
Hey,
You can
but
be, but you got to grow for sure.
right, you gotta go for sure. And I would say that, hey, humble beginnings, you know what I'm saying? God had a plan at an early age for your life, and that's what I love about God. God will call us at an early age, but like you said, you have to make sure we're praying, fasting, hearing from the Lord, so that way we can move forward in that. But I do have another question for you. Was there ever a moment when you questioned your calling from the Lord or came close to walking away, but what kept you going?
Questioning my calling, no.
That's good. Yeah.
No, never a moment where I was like, really deeply questioning. Some moments where I went back like, Lord, are you sure? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, right, right.
Never, but never to the point where I was like, okay, I might walk away because of questioning my calling. Um, were there moments where I struggled with not whether God called me, but whether I disqualified myself? Yes,
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
absolutely. Were there moments when the hurt that I experienced as a pastor?
That part, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was probably the closest to walking away I've been, is the
Right.
hurt I felt as a pastor.
Yeah.
Um,
That's hard.
church hurt became this popular thing a few years back now. Now everybody got a church hurt story. You know,
Yeah, they do.
how
Yeah.
the church hurt them, and the church, abused this, and this happened at the church. And one of the things about church hurt, for the most part, is it's always looked at from the masses as from the pastor down.
Right. Yeah.
It's always looked at the congregants got hurt because the pastor did, or because leadership did, or from one member to the next member, the hurt, right?
Yeah.
Opposed to, nobody ever really looks at the church hurt the pastor goes through.
That part. That's a big one. Go ahead. Talk about
The church hurt the pastor goes through.
it.
One,
Man.
people figure, oh well, you work for God, you fine. You represent God, you cool.
Yeah. Because they think,
Like you,
yeah.
well, you're a pastor, you're supposed to go through these things, as if we don't have like real feelings, emotions, and all this other stuff. And so the church hurt a pastor goes through is a big deal, because a
Yeah.
lot of times, you know, and I don't want to make light of any real trauma that people have had in
Right.
church.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
That's real. I'm not trying to say they ain't had none, but as a pastor, church hurt is much more common, much more repeated. There's a lot less sympathy for it, a lot less
Yeah.
empathy for it, and there's a lot less sincerity and apologies for it. And
Yeah.
so,
Wow.
as a member of a church, you get hurt. A lot of times, he believe, right?
Yeah, they do.
I'm
Right.
not saying it should happen, but a lot of times he believe. As a
Yeah.
pastor, you get hurt, you got to go preach next Sunday.
Yeah, that's the part that a lot of people don't understand. Yep. Go ahead.
Pastor, when you get hurt, the people that hurt you might pull up at the service right there, act like nothing happened.
Right. You got to still get up
The,
there and preach,
the
man.
people who lied on you will still come back smiling in your face.
All of that. Yep.
You can know certain things, but there's some pastoral confidentiality to people who have told you their heart and revealed things, but you
Right.
can't never say those things.
Never.
You got
You
to
know how
hold
it is.
on.
Yeah.
And the moment you, as a pastor, if you ever lose your cool, if you ever clap back, if they will,
Yeah.
you automatically are the one wrong, no matter how much they said about you.
It don't, yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, true.
They could
Right.
drag your name publicly on social media and
Come
everything else.
on.
Here, the
Subliminal shots.
moment you
Yeah.
stand up and say a thing,
What the
you're
moment.
wrong.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Yeah.
so that part of pastoring has had me feeling like, man, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And so yeah, that's real. I would say to anybody in ministry, any pastors out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a real thing. If you're thinking about starting to become a pastor, understand to love the people deeply, but wear them loosely. There'll be those who come in your office and swear they'll never leave, and a month later they leaving.
Jesus. Yeah.
There'll be those who will try to say, "Hey, I want to come work with you. I believe in the vision, but hey, can I get paid a little something, something?" There'll be those
Yeah, all of that. Yep.
along with people who are worth their hire, but then there's also people who trying to swindle it out of your pockets.
Yep.
Um, there's going to be people who will you have been there on the sick bed. You'll bury
Oh yeah. Right.
you'll bury their parents. You will marry them. You'll
All of
christen
that. Yeah.
children. All of this stuff only for them to talk about you like a dog when you make your mistake. All these things,
Jesus. Yeah.
all these things are real
Yeah.
as a pastor. Um,
Yeah.
so really doing it and doing it for an audience of one is required.
Oh wow. I like that. Yeah. Mm.
Doing it with the idea of, yes, you might get a nice pastoral anniversary service, but the church hurt you might experience as a pastor can be damaging to your soul, your mind, and your spirit.
Right.
To
Yeah.
put yourself through this, you got to be sure about God's call. You got to be sure about God sustaining you and keeping your mental and keeping
Yeah.
your spirit intact, and walking a level of humility. One of the things that's beautiful about being a pastor is it gets you closer to a God's view than I think anything else can.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
You see people who will do you dirty, but you forgive.
Right. Come on. Yeah.
You
True.
forgive, recognize, even though I know this about, they don't even know I know this, but I'm
Yeah.
still going to forgive, they didn't ask for forgiveness there.
Right. There it
Because
is. Yeah.
I need to be forgiven.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Can't forget that. Right.
And it helps you see how God sees you.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I
beautiful.
got, I'm gonna forgive these people. People like, Pastor, how you gonna forgive them and let them back into your good grace? Got me
Yeah.
to them. And I'm like, no, no, no. It's
To
not forgive,
remember.
restore them. Let's bring them back. We love them.
Yeah.
But you know about them? Yeah. And we still love them. And that's because I need God to do the same for me.
Man, we can't forget that, bro. That's good. Yeah.
I need him to, I got big sin on my life. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, um, just do. I think I was listening to D1 earlier, and D1, he had a lyric where he said, what did D1 say? He said, I got enough sins to fill up the LSU stadium.
Me
I'm like,
too.
right behind you, D1.
Right behind you. Yeah.
Right
Right.
behind you. But I need forgiveness for those. I got to forgive others, and so it helps you to see God's perspective just a little bit. Like, obviously we don't get His perspective all together, but it helps to see a little bit and become more forgiving. So I've learned as a pastor to become more forgiving, more patient, and all those
Yeah.
things. There was times I was angry, where I was upset, where I was hurt.
Of course. Yeah.
Forget about it. Um,
Right.
but you recognize, why do you do it?
Man, that's big. Yeah. Right.
I do it out of obedience to God first.
Yeah.
And then God called me to love others as I love myself. So I do it out of obedience to His call for me to love. And you have to
Yeah.
genuinely learn to love people beyond their faults, beyond what they've done. Otherwise, you probably will tap out. And I've known a lot of pastors
Yeah.
who have
No.
started and have tapped out. And a lot of it is because of church hurt. A lot of it is because the mental exhaustion of
Yeah.
praying and studying and putting all this forward, and then you get a certain response from people. And it's almost, listen, we
Right.
talk that a lot of pastors, they don't even want to talk about. We just kind of taboo, because then it makes you
Yeah. Of
look like,
course.
oh, they there. They this, they that, and you supposed to just act like, no, it never bothered me. No,
Yeah, it's
it
not
doesn't
true.
bother.
It definitely bothers you. Yeah,
It definitely bothers us,
right.
but we take it to the Lord in prayer, and that's what I learned to do. So I hope that answered your question. I feel like went off a little bit. I don't know.
No, that was actually perfect. I think a lot of nuggets that you dropped in there because, when we don't really understand that, you're right. We'll be burnt out. We'll quit and we'll walk away from what God called us to, all because we got so, caught up in people getting hurt and all of that. And like you said, it's real to get hurt, but at the same time, it's like it's just very tough to deal with all those things. And I always say that because a lot of people have a thing of judging the pastor. You know what I mean? He should be doing this, that, and the third, and why this, that, and the third. It's like you don't understand. If you walked 1 week, some of y'all couldn't make it. Walking 1 week, 2 weeks in the pastor's shoes. You know what I'm saying? I think about, people like the level of like TD Jakes, just for example, right? I mean, I can talk all I want about him, but I don't know what he goes through on the daily, right? I don't know what he went through to get there. We're not gonna get to different theologies and all that, not right now. But the point is, there could be somebody at a higher level that we're so quick to speak on, but we don't know all the things that they actually have to deal with day in, day out. I remember with you a long time ago where, you have like hundreds of messages of people, needing prayer, needing assistance. My person died. Can you come to the hospital? And all the different calls that you receive, people don't understand that it's a high level of having to deal with all of that, right? And I don't mean deal with it in a bad way, but you have to, how do you, handle all of that? You know what I'm saying? And be able to be doing at an efficient level, right? Still be a pastor, still get up there and preach every week, but you're getting called every which way. But I mean, yes, it's part of the call, right? So we don't complain about that. It comes with the territory, right? But I just think that again, if people could really understand all the things that pastors go through, maybe they'd be more understanding and actually pray. Because one thing I don't like is when you gossip about a pastor versus praying for a pastor, it's like pray for him. It will make way more sense to sit
Yeah.
up there and pray for somebody than talk bad because you really don't know the struggles. You don't know the attacks. We held to a stricter judgment, as the word says. They don't really truly understand. A regular decker person, you know what, whatever. But if you actually walk through, and that goes for anybody, right? If you haven't walked in other people's shoes, you can't really speak on what they should or shouldn't do. Now, yes, we can use the word of God and say that's what they should do, but we have to remember that again, the same grace that we got, right? The same grace that we needed is the same grace other people need as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that, bro. It's we're called to a higher calling. There's more on it, and one
Yeah.
thing that I think a lot of times when we say things like this as pastors, like, oh, we got this going on, that going on, people are like, well, why? That's your fault. You should have came up with a better structure and this and this and this. Let me just help somebody a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
So we understand, the Jethro principle. We understand,
Right. Very good.
you gotta break down in tiers and give this assignment to this person, to this person, to this person, to this person, and
Right.
that's true,
Exactly.
right? But you know what happens when you do got to break? You got a church maybe of 200 members.
Right. There you go. Right.
Thank God at True Valley on paper we're at 300 and something. Obviously, but on paper about 300.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, okay, so you say, okay, well, one person can't handle all that. Absolutely not. So you got to put leaders in.
Yeah.
But when you put leaders in, I want people to understand you still now are responsible for pouring into those leaders.
Yeah. Right.
And
100%.
you're
Yeah. It
responsible
is.
for overseeing those leaders and those things. And so there's a lot of push and there's a lot of pull and there's a lot of spiritual responsibility
Yeah.
for
Right.
it just is. And no matter how much help you get, there's still you're the pastor. And so you still have the bottom line, there's things you got to deal with. A lot of different things, a lot of different moving parts. And
Yeah.
so, a lot of times when people say, and this is, not just for my church, any church, a lot of people have ideas for the pastor. The pastor should do this, the pastor should do that. Help the pastor. Go pray for the pastor. Like, pray for the pastor.
Yeah.
Please
Go.
pray for me.
Right.
Please pray.
Please. Yeah. Right.
If you thought I had it together, made this look easy, you're wrong. I need help. I need prayer. And I think every pastor does. Every pastor needs, we're thankful when God sends more laborers.
Yeah. Right. Of
We're
course.
thankful when God sends somebody I got this, pastor. I'll take this part. I can help with this. I can do this. Yes, we love to see more congregant members come in who, we love to see that, but we want volunteers. We need people to help us. We need people to pray.
Please.
That's just. I think every ministry that I've been a part of, that's been the case.
Right.
And I got pastors, friends, and acquaintances who have much bigger, larger churches than I have, and they have the same issues. more volunteers, more people to come and help carry forth the mission. Yeah.
All right, that's good. And I love the answer. Thank you for answering that. I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit, but hopefully y'all are taking notes because you need to write all that stuff that he just got done saying down. But in this season of your life right now, right? What has God been teaching you the most?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Uh, um, right now, the thing that's been just really been pressed on me is the fundamentals of the faith, and
Yeah.
not let's not the theological fundamentals right now. Right, that's not
Yeah.
the had me in.
Right.
I'm talking about the fundamental Christian practices that keep us anchored and steady.
Yeah.
And there's been four of them that's really been just, on my heart. Obviously, prayer, right? Prayer. I've been counseling and telling people in this season, set your alarm, make sure you're living like Daniel, praying 3 times a day, right?
Right. Yeah.
8
Right.
a.m., 9 a.m., whatever it is, noon, midnight, whatever. Set an exact time. Because what happens for a lot of us, and I'm so guilty
Yeah.
of this in my walk, like we like, oh yeah, I talk to God all day. Of course I pray. I've talked to God all day. But
Right.
what's really happening is because we haven't set up an exact time that I talk to God all day, really ain't talking to God at all.
Right. Right.
And we kind of think of God and we confuse thinking of God or thinking of doing ministry stuff or thinking of doing something good with actually talking to God.
Yeah.
But
Right.
set
Right.
times where you start your prayer, our Father who art in heaven or whatever, a time set up for God. So that's one thing. The next is daily Bible reading, right?
Yeah.
And it's simple. These are the basics. But I think when we sometimes we get up
Yeah.
lofty theology and all this stuff, and we think that we don't need it. And one of the words that God gave me earlier this year, and I've started to do some of the leadership is,
Yeah.
don't let your familiarity with God rob you,
Oh. Wow. Yeah.
right? Don't become so familiar with God that you lose intimacy. And so, daily reading your word every single day. Don't skip right there and then and there. That's so
Yeah.
important. Other one, fasting. Gotta fast. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, here, Pastor out. Okay. I'm love to read the word. I'm a strong Bible teacher. I'm telling you, I teach the word.
You do. You
But
do. Yeah.
but fasting has never been like that. Ain't my bag. You know what I mean? Like that's my bag. You know what I mean? But if we was playing basketball and we was doing bag work,
Right. There it is.
But listen, my Bible reading and my Bible teaching and preaching, that's my go-to move. Okay.
Right.
Fast, I gotta dig deeper in the bag, right? That's just
Dig a
not
little
what
deeper. Yeah. Right.
we
Yeah.
finna read the word, we finna teach the word for a couple hours. Yes, we finna fast for a couple days. So
Right.
one of the things
Right.
God really had me doing in this season is
That's
fasting a
good.
lot.
Okay. That's
Fast.
good.
So I've been encouraging people. The thing God has been downloading me. Don't skip your weekly fasting.
Yeah.
Not bi-weekly, not monthly, not every 6 months. Now this is what God has been showing me. So
Right.
don't say Pastor said there's a verse that says you got to fast every week. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what God has been doing in me is fasting on a weekly basis, right?
Yeah.
Then the fourth one, and this is one of the biggest ones for me that I've now learned to understand as a spiritual discipline, and that's evangelizing, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
Evangelizing as a spiritual discipline for the evangelizer. For years, I didn't see it this way. For years, I'm like, okay, this is me going to help somebody else. This is good for them,
Yeah. Right.
I
Right.
recognize just how good it was for me, whether they receive the word or not, whether they get saved or not, how important it was for me to actually go and do the evangelizing, what it did to my spirit and my soul.
Right.
It allowed me to live an exciting Christian life because every day I could be excited about the opportunity to witness to somebody.
Yeah.
It
Right.
allows me to align with obedience that we see in Matthew 28:19, that we're going out and we're taking the gospel to the highways, the hedges, and to the corners and the edge of the earth. We're doing all that. So
Yeah.
if you're not witnessing consistently, then you are not actually in the will and plan of God, and you're
Yeah.
going to feel the pull of that on your spirit.
Yeah.
And so if you do those four, I always say, if you find yourself feeling burnt out, if you find yourself feeling a little bit, down, it normally is
Yeah.
because you're one of the four. One of the four has gone astray somewhere. And so
Yeah.
God, like, it's time to live more regimented. right? And make sure we.
That's good. Yeah.
And one of the things I would encourage anybody, sometimes it's going to feel like duty. It's going to feel like duty.
Right. Right.
Faithful duty, and it'll become delight.
Right.
Do it.
There it is.
Don't feel like it. It'll bless you later on. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he's been working on.
That's really good, man. And one thing, biggest thing that I heard from you was just consistency, right? Making part of the regiment, things that you do on a daily, no matter what. And I think that because I've been watching a lot of motivational videos lately, and that's kind of the theme was being very consistent, right? Being consistent in what you do every day. That's what we're gonna do. And I have a couple of friends, one of my really good friends, she did a really good job of just saying, you know what, I'm going to I'm going to prioritize, my regiment, right? I'm always waking up. I'm gonna pray when I wake up. I'm always gonna do my devotionals. I'm gonna do it no matter what. It's not gonna be no matter how hard. If I'm tired, of course, some days you're gonna, miss some days, but but I'm going to make sure every day or at this time I'm gonna set time and be very purposeful in the way I approach it. Because if you're not purposeful, you just kind of like I just kind of wing it mindset where you're kind of as I go. I pray. I need to pray more. But you don't actually set up a time to pray, the more likely you probably not gonna pray. You may pray the first day, you know what I mean? But if you're praying and there's nothing wrong, you can pray all the time. We know that, right? Man, I ought to
Yeah.
always pray. You know what I'm saying? But again, if you don't really carve out time to make sure at least that time that you're gonna pray and be with the Lord, like Daniel clearly was very specific about praying 3 times a day. It wasn't everybody knew he was gonna pray 3 times a day, and that's why they tried to set him up because he was so consistent. Even the non-believers, even the haters saw that he was consistent. He was going to do it no matter what. No matter what the king had said, he was going to do it. So I think that ideal of just being very, very consistent is a big thing. So I definitely agree
Bro,
with
people
you
don't like
on
that
that.
though.
Yeah, go ahead.
People don't like it, bro. They don't like it.
They don't.
Consistent. I'm telling you, when I tell people this, they don't like it. It was
Yeah,
gonna be, I was gonna tell them to get real emotional in a moment,
right.
and moment that was gonna bring them through. No, get consistent.
That's what he
Get
said.
consistent. It's one of
Period.
the best indicators I've seen in my years of pastoralship for somebody who is going to be fruitful and someone who won't.
Yeah, there it is. Right.
Which one is consistent? Not which one's more gifted, not
That's
which one's
good.
more talented,
Right.
right? It's the one who's consistent. That's the one that gets the breakthrough. That's the one who produces the fruit, the consistency of it. And as a pastor, I know people are gonna say you like to push church attendance, but listen, it's good for you. Trust me.
It is. Talk about it. Yeah.
I see my people who are consistent and going to service, and it's not just consistent that they're consistent in receiving, and you see them consistent in receiving a Bible study, and they got a consistent routine in their individual prayer life. They're not going to be in the same place at the beginning of the year that they were at the end in God.
Oh, just not. Yeah, true.
It's
Right.
impossible. The Bible tells us if we knock, right, the door will be open.
That's what I say. Yeah.
We get parable. Jesus gives us the beautiful parable about the judge who didn't respect God, who was just a bad dude altogether. But the lady kept asking all the time consistently for something, and the judge was like, "Man, go ahead, you can have it. Just leave me alone." And the
Right.
scripture says, "How much better is our God? How much does He know how to give gifts to His children?"
Come on
Right?
now. It's the word. Yes, sir.
We just get consistent in our prayer, consistent in our reading,
Come
consistent
on.
in our worship, consistent in our fasting,
Yeah.
consistent in our evangelizing. We just stay consistent, and the doors are gonna open,
Yeah.
right? I'm not saying you're a genie, you're gonna get exactly what you want, but I'm saying him
Yeah.
and
Right.
he'll change what you want. You'll produce fruit. There's no way you won't produce fruit. There's no way your life doesn't get better. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about circumstantially, I'm talking about relationally. Your life will get
Right.
better. It will. And
Literally. Yeah.
and
True.
I think that's hard for people because I said it last night in our Bible study. Listen, people love motivation. They don't like transformation.
Oh, we talk about that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to be motivated. Everybody wants to be motivated, right? I can post something about motivation right now on social media, and I'm telling you, the numbers are going to run up. You can do it. Don't ever stop. Listen, numbers are now. Start talking about change. Oh, it gets quiet.
Actually changed my life. Right.
Oh, hold on. I like to be
Yeah.
motivated. I don't want to transform. I don't want to do
Right.
different. Now you got crickets. Now the room is silent because we just want to be encouraged to keep going and doing what we're doing. Where a lot of times God is
Ooh.
transform who we actually are, and that's a whole nother situation.
Yeah, it's on another situation. I love the way you said that, man. We keep going that type all day, but I definitely want to get to a little bit more questions before we get out here. Um, this is a big one, right? Because I put it like this. I know a lot of people that they call to this being a pastor and whatnot, and sometimes they get the real big head. They be acting like they the, next coming of Christ himself, Archbishop times three. You know what I'm saying? But how do you guard your heart against pride while receiving honor, recognition, and influence? Because you have those things as a pastor, you just do. But how do you do it not becoming prideful? And I know that you never been prideful at all like that, but you know what I mean? And only you can speak to it within your own self. You know better than me. But how do you deal with that?
For me, one, there's a few things here. This is a good question.
Yeah.
One, I'm very acquainted with my failures and my
Okay.
limits.
Okay.
Uh, I in no way pretend like I haven't made big mistakes in my life and
Right.
in my
Yeah.
right. And so if you don't allow yourself to sit with those and become well acquainted with your mistakes, I'm not talking about falling into depression, but just being like, really, I've got some things on my record that were not godly. I am
Yeah.
not Jesus. I am in
Right.
need of the cross, the same cross that
There
I
it
preach
is.
about.
Right.
I'm in need of. And so to be very acquainted with you, like sometimes we make mistakes and we want to we want to bury them and move on in a way
Yeah.
that's not. We do need to move on, right? Like let's be real. Like we don't want to stay in our sin and in our failures where it arrests us from doing what God has called us to do. But we do need to
Yeah.
have a healthy understanding of I failed here. I was outside of the will of God here. I made a
Yeah.
mistake here. I hurt somebody here, right? Nobody want to say that. Well, we like to talk about, you know what? It's interesting. We love to talk about church hurt, but nobody wants to talk about the hurt that they caused.
Yeah. Right. True.
Right?
Right. They
Everybody got
don't.
a church story where they were the victim. Do you got a church hurt story where you hurt somebody?
Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
Like we got to be honest with that stuff. And
Right.
then when we're honest with that stuff, we obviously we ask God to forgive us, but that keeps us humble. Like, listen, I'm not
It
Jesus.
does.
I've hurt people. I've
Right.
hurt people trying to help. I've hurt
Yeah.
people trying to do ministry. I've disappointed folk trying to live up to a standard. And if I'm honest about that,
Right.
then that's gonna knock some pride down. Okay.
There
The
it is.
second
Right.
thing I say is you got to recognize that. Listen, come on. Without God, I can't do nothing.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
this is a gift that He's given me. This is a privilege to work in the Lord's church, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I think we need to I think we need to make normal for us as leaders is the understanding that God don't need us.
Yeah. Right.
God don't need me. I need Him.
Right. That's the.
It's
Yep.
a
That's
privilege.
it.
It's a privilege
Yeah.
serving. Listen, and I'm out of there, and He
Right.
rise somebody else up to
True.
proclaim. Like
That's
He
the
does.
reality. Yeah.
Reality is I don't preach so good. I don't teach so good. I don't lead so well that He couldn't do this without me.
Right. That's for everybody.
For
True.
everybody.
Right.
So when
Right.
you come to an understanding and remind yourself of that, this is a privilege. How could you? And then the last thing is, the fifth of the five solas which we stand on is, to the
Yes.
glory of God alone,
Glory to
right?
God. Yep.
We live our lives into the glory of God alone. If one of the bad habits that we can get into as leaders is
There it
taking
is.
God's glory for ourselves.
Wow. That's big right there. Yep. There it
So
is.
I'm really heavy in the practice of when I do receive glory or honor from anyone to redirect that quickly to God.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Right?
100%.
Like we're not gonna sit here and make a big deal about Pastor Marcus. If
Right.
anybody, that's not our culture. We don't sit up
No,
here
that's not
and
it. Right.
everybody gonna testify to the goodness of Pastor Marcus. It's not happening. Nobody getting up there grabbing the mic and say, Pastor, so wise. No, we're gonna set that down.
Yeah, we shut down. You right now. We
I
never did
appreciate
that.
the prayer,
Right.
I appreciate the love,
Of
but
course.
it
Yeah.
is not about me. It is about Jesus. And when
Oh,
we
geez,
when we
yeah.
have lives that are focused that way, when we have ministries that are focused that way, that's cool. I'm not big on having no Pastor Mark celebration. We don't really do that at TVC. Anytime I have been honored, we make sure it's about the Lord. And I think that's an important practice to have built in the fabric of your church and in the
Yeah.
fabric. Because here's the thing about a pastor, I think sometimes people forget. Like
Right.
I'm the leader of TVC, as far as being the
Yeah.
undershirt.
Right.
But TBC is where I go to get fed too.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So church too.
Right.
Yeah. So you
So
actually go there.
so
Right.
yeah, I go there. Like I'm a part. I'm a part of the body. Like,
Right.
not show up, go away. Like I'm actually a part of the community.
Right.
And so that setting up a healthy biblical community where there's no idolization of you is so important for your spiritual growth.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah.
So I want to go to a healthy church. It can't be about me. It's got to be about Jesus. So
Yeah.
so understanding that, not accepting that kind of praise is really
Right.
important. And making sure that your ministry is built on being humble. I say my last thing on that would be,
Yeah.
at TV, you practice servant leadership.
That's what it is. Yeah. You have to be that way. Has to be.
The
Yeah.
higher you go, the more you serve.
Big time.
So,
Yeah. That's the
so
mentality. Yeah.
at True Valley, I should be leading in service. I know a lot of pastors don't really look at it this way, and I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody. I think it
Right.
should be. I'm the lead servant. So my job is, on Sundays, I'm the first one there.
Right.
Often,
I always.
uh, uh, often always first one there. Normally,
Yeah.
either the last one to leave or one of the very last people to leave.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly. That's how it is.
I'm
Yep.
gonna put in more work, more service than anybody. When we
Yeah.
do the way our church is set up, I don't go park in the closest thing to the nice pastoral park up front. I'm not knocking nobody else. I find the furthest park to make sure the guests can get all the good
Yeah.
parts.
You always do that.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
mentality of our church is, if we lead, we serve.
We lead,
I'm
we
going to
serve.
help with
Yeah.
I'm going to help with the setup. Some people say, "Oh, that's not good," and maybe when as like age a bit, I won't do it. You know what I mean? And because I do have to preach and all those, want to give people my best. But right now, at my age, I feel young enough and healthy enough. I get out there. I'm helping the setup team. I'm helping set up things. I'm there to serve,
Right.
right?
That's it.
And
Yeah.
and servant leadership is so important. That's modeling Christ. Christ said, I didn't come to be served, but I came to serve, to give my life a ransom. So
Yeah.
if we're
Right.
going to be Christ-like as leaders, if we're going to lead like Jesus, leading like Jesus means, oh, I need to serve. I need to serve the people. I need to
Right.
serve you, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's what we believe, and that keeps you humble, right? Keeps you
Yeah.
humble when you're helping set up the tents and you're carrying A signs and you're
All
willing
of that.
to do those
Yeah.
things.
Right.
Keeps you
Right.
humble. I mean, I know some people don't like it. They want to put in an organization and people where they don't have to do it. I'm not knocking that. You got to preach. I get it. But for me,
Yeah.
those those things keep me humble, and being a part of some of those things keep me humble. Like I'm to work just like anybody else, and and I don't need it, and I'm not into a bunch of people serving me. I still carry my own Bible. Okay,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wipe my own. I use my own
Right.
sweat rag. That helps. I use my own sweat rag to wipe the sweat off
You
my
wipe your
forehead.
own sweat off.
Yeah, run it
Yeah.
out behind the thing to wipe my sweat off. I believe in serving, man, and that keeps you humble for sure.
Yeah, and I love one of the things you taught me, save people, serve people. And it's the slogan at True Light Church, save people will always serve people. So, I love that. Exactly. I think that's the mindset that we have to have. In order to have a healthy church, you have to have the servant leader mindset. Because if you don't, then you're going to get lost in the sauce and think you all that in a bag of chips. You definitely
Yeah.
don't want to let it get to your head. So I do have one more big question that, then we're going to get to some hot topics. You know what I mean? Responses a minute or less. So, we're going to fire them off. But before I
Okay.
get to that, two-part question. One of the questions is, what concerns you about the direction of the church today? And I'm talking about at large, right?
Mhm.
What concerns you the most about the direction of the church? And then also, after that, I do want you to speak to, because you were able to launch a church. And we know a lot of churches that launched, a lot of them quit within the first couple of years. You know what I mean? So maybe have some advice for them to kind of encourage them on your process, because you made it through it, but I know it wasn't easy. And we did talk about the ups and downs, how people can talk bad about you, stuff like that. But just for the mechanics of building a church, if you can speak to that.
Okay. So first, say the first question again.
The first question: what concerns you about the direction of the church today?
Consumerism.
Okay,
Consumer uh,
consumerism.
concerns me about the direction of the church today.
Yeah,
We are a society that treats church like it's Walmart or Target. We
yeah,
pick churches
right,
based on, oh, well, they have the nice kids church. Oh, they have the better worship team. Oh, I like the way they dress. And it's all consumer driven rather than spirit led. And so what
Yeah.
concerns is that the average church in America is 62 people right now, right? The
Wow. Yeah.
majority of people go to mega churches. The majority of churchgoers go to mega churches.
Right.
So that 62 number is inflated by these churches with 5,000 and 10,000 members. So
Yeah.
what you're seeing is a wider spread in the haves and the have-nots, right?
Oh
Whereas
wow. Yeah.
if you go back to, maybe church in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you saw a lot
Yeah.
more that hovered around 150, 200, 300
Yeah, it's
people.
about that much. Yeah, right. I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Now you got church that either has 5,000 or they got five. And
One or the other, right.
one or the
Yeah.
other. The reason why is because church has become so production led. It's become so consumeristic, where it's all about what can I get? How does this feed me? And there is a place where we should be looking for what we can get from our church, but we should also be looking for we can give.
There it
And
is.
so
Right. Yeah.
a churches should be a gathering of believers, right? And it should edify the body of Christ. It should uplift the Lord Jesus. It's where all these different spiritual gifts that the scriptures say we all have, right, should come
Yeah.
together use. But what's happening is we got a ton of folks sitting up in churches not using nothing, just sitting there and getting.
Yeah. Right.
And so we got, huge churches where gifts lie dormant because they're looking for what pleases the eye, and we're just in there. We're getting fat on word and we're not
Yeah.
using it. And it's just like these big churches are getting really, really big, and we see some really good ministries that didn't launch out with maybe the finances or the
Yeah.
backing of a
Right.
mega, something like that struggle to gain traction, uh, because they don't have the systems in place, they don't have all the things. And when people go to visit those churches, it's not, Lord, show me if this is where I could be. They come in and go,
Right.
there's not a cafe in the front.
Hey, right. What do y'all got? Right.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
going down the street because they have the cafe. You know what I mean? Oh, Easter time come. Oh, you do that. You guys are only just going to preach about Jesus on Easter. So my kids aren't going to get to meet Donald Duck, and
Oh man, they be doing all of that. Yeah. Right.
and all of these other things. You're not going. There's not going to be like a live concert right after. And
Right.
that, oh, well, I'm going over there
Yeah.
because I look for consumeristic church, and so that scares me because and it's no, I don't dislike mega church. I'm not against mega church or anything like that. God has actually blessed us where we're much larger than the average church in America, and we're
Yeah.
praying God continues to grow us. So I'm not against growth. What scares me is that growth has become a strategy.
Yeah.
What we can provide to people that has nothing to do with the Spirit of God. People are choosing churches based on what makes me more comfortable rather than where has God planted me to not just get fed, but also help this body grow.
Right.
And so that's my concern with where church is right now. Too consumeristic, too much of what can I get and not where can I be planted. We're building crowds and not communities. And
Right.
we need church to become community again.
And I agree with you that because it makes me think about the first church in the book of Acts. Those people were figuring, how can I give to the church? Everybody
Mhm.
gave everything, their possessions, to give to the church. So they had the mentality of what can I give, not what can I receive. You know what I mean? Can you imagine back then they go in there, they want the market set up just right or whatever. They were trying to figure out, what they can get from the church. But I think that's a bad mentality, and that's the enemy has planted in our minds, to have that type of mentality, where we're just about gimme, 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 and we don't really care. If the music wasn't good, they ain't sing the song I like, I ain't going back to church ever again. They didn't have
Mhm.
a big, gigantic children's ministry, which is important to have a children's ministry. We know that. But they don't have that. Oh, man, I can't go to that church. Like, why don't you start a ministry in the church? Why don't you start a children's ministry? Why don't
Yeah.
you start something that people can, be edified off of? And, I
And
wish people would think like that. Go ahead.
and let me be, and I want to be like completely transparent. You come to
Yeah.
TVC, there's coffee in the front, okay?
Yeah,
You're
we got
going
it.
so I want to be honest. There's coffee. You're gonna get your free coffee, and then you're gonna go down there, and there's a children's church for the check-in and all
You
that.
got all of that. Yeah, true.
I'm not saying those things are bad or
Right.
ungodly
That's not what we're
or
saying. Right.
wrong. I'm saying that I don't want it to lead the church. And I feel like as a church abroad, that's what's becoming the thing. How many services can I give you outside of just preaching the gospel and preaching it in context?
Yeah, right, right.
And that becomes almost secondary. It becomes, we had Spider-Man swing down, you met the Easter Bunny, you met your
Again,
kids
right.
got a picture with Santa Claus, you got
Yeah.
the best coffee, the best latte you ever had, you got your coffee in this hand, you got your free gift bag in this hand, you got the new merch shop is open and you got the new t-shirt, and
Yeah.
you got all these, and it's almost like you went to Disneyland as opposed
Yeah,
to
right.
somewhere sacred. You went
There
to
it
somewhere
is.
holy. You
Yeah,
said
there you go.
where there's breakthrough and there's healing. And so I think that's where we as a church have to be careful and how
Yeah,
we present this. Ultimately, Christ is at the center of our gatherings. Ultimately, whether we had coffee and all, what is this? What the Spirit of God needs to move in a way that is powerful and impactful. And
yeah,
what I fear is that we might be building thousands and thousands of member churches, and we got a lot of people who enjoy all the extra stuff but aren't really there for Jesus.
yeah,
And,
100%. Right,
and we're thinking, wow, we got all this growth, we got all these new converts, and we really don't. We just got a lot of people who enjoy coffee and community. If all
right.
you like is coffee and community, you can go down to your local coffee shop, you can go down to your local community center.
Anywhere, right. True.
We're replacing these community center type places and calling it church.
Yeah,
Like, that's not church. Christ is
yeah.
not at the center, and we got to make sure that he stays at the center. So
I love that. And that's why we go to church, right? For Jesus himself, which leads me to my next question. I kind of wonder, because I do believe there's a lot of Christian singles out there, right? So I want to switch gears just a little bit. I mean, I guess, what advice would you give to a Christian single trying to find someone? Because ultimately, you shouldn't be going to church for that anyway. I feel you should be going for Jesus, but there's nothing wrong with finding somebody at church, right? Because we're, like-minded believers, and I guess that's the place we're supposed to find them, not in the club, right? It should be in the church. But I do believe that there's a lot of people that go to church for those reasons, some with bad intentions and some with good intentions. They really want to be married. So, what advice would you give to them? And also, if you could speak a little bit about, what has been your experience, dealing with that? Because I do know that, myself, you get a lot of different calls, a lot of people that come at you, you know what I mean, because you are who you are. So, how do you navigate that as well? And I think that a lot of young believers or people that are single may be able to, learn from what we're about to say right now. So, what would you say to that?
I would say, stay away from dating. Don't
There it
trust
is.
no woman. Don't trust no man.
There
They
you go.
all It's all the devil. It's Satan's work. No, I'm
The
kidding.
devil.
I'm so joking.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if that's a great question. It's a great question. Um, Christian dating has become such a hot topic and such a
It
huge
is.
industry within
Yeah.
church, right?
Right. Yeah.
So many different think pieces. There's so many different places you go to get information. And I think what's happened is
Yeah.
we've adopted so many different ideologies around Christian dating that we really haven't looked at some of the clear, focused things Scripture says, right?
Yeah.
The Bible tells us that it's not good for a man to be alone, but we also do see the writings of Paul that sometimes you can get a lot accomplished while you're alone, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Right.
Part of what the Bible is saying it's important to be in community, right?
Right.
One sex, my man being alone and so I would say the first thing in Christian dating that I think a lot of people miss, right, and I had neglected in portions in my life is being a part of a healthy community first, a
Yeah. Right.
healthy Bible-centered community,
First and
right?
foremost. Yeah.
First and foremost, I think that is
First
one
and
of the cheat
foremost.
codes I'll give. I'm not saying there's always an outlier. Somebody get in the comment section and say, I didn't have no community and I've been married for years. I get that. I
There's
get
always
that.
one.
Glad
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. You're doing great. Keep going. What I'm talking about is some practices that could help. And one of the things I would say is being locked into a healthy biblical community that can hold you accountable when you
First
date,
and foremost. Yeah.
that
Right.
that can speak life into you, where you
Right.
can be known and know others. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Something that you date within the same church, or you dating somebody from another church. Sometimes just being plugged into your community can give you insight about that person if that's somebody you want to pursue. Make sure that God is at the center and at is the top priority in your dating. Make sure you're dating with purpose is what I would say. Um,
Yeah.
Make sure you're not evangel dating, where you're trying to evangelize to
Ooh,
somebody while you're trying to date them. Right?
that's
That
good. Go ahead.
that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Um, Make sure you're very clear with your boundaries and
Okay, gotcha. Right.
your spiritual boundaries as well. Uh, and don't romanticize Christian dating beyond what
Ooh,
you should.
that's good.
And
Yeah.
sometimes there, and and I see this more with the ladies, but it can be with the fellas too, where your whole
Yeah.
personality becomes Christian dating.
Yeah, it's the
Everything you
whole
post
thing.
about, every like you talk to God more about Christian dating than you do just talking to Him about your purpose and your will for His life.
That part.
If you get caught up in purpose and caught up in connection to the vine and caught up
Yeah.
in what God has you doing, I believe God will bring the right person into your life in that season if
Amen.
He
Right.
wants you to be married. Yeah, so that's what I'll say. First thing, don't make an idol of it. Trust
Yeah.
God, seek God about not just that, but your entire walk with God. And then
Yeah.
what happens, a lot of people, not everybody, because I don't like to talk in sweeping broad strokes when we talk
Yeah.
about this.
Right.
There's outliers, there's all kinds of different situations, but just include God in whatever situation you're in. But
Yeah.
if you're seeking God and God has called you to missionary work, right? You're about
Right.
to go to a remote part of the world, just be locked in on missionary work, right?
Yeah.
You might get on the bus on your way to a remote location in the world, and somebody sit next to you, and he or she is called to the same purpose that you are. Y'all
Right.
strike a conversation while you're on your way to do the Lord's work. You realize y'all got the same call, mission in life, and it works. Be
That's good.
wrapped up in what God has for you, and I believe you'll find the people. Secondly, listen, if a dating situation doesn't work, that does not mean that they're the devil.
You say that again. Yeah, that's good.
This
Yeah, true.
situation doesn't work, doesn't mean that person is the devil. Forgive each other if you hurt each other, move
Right.
on. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's how
mean?
it is. True.
Move
Right.
on with the love of the Lord. Every man of God is not your husband, and every woman of God is not your wife.
Come
Just
on.
because, listen, just because they're saved does not mean that's the one for you, right? There's some
Yeah.
good. There's so many good, solid Christians out there. There really are.
Right.
Okay, a man has the right. Go choose the one for you.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Don't
Right.
just, oh, they're saved. Let me go after them. Oh, they're this. They hold this title, this position. I'm after them.
Yeah.
So God, get to know people. See if your purpose in align and move that way. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's good. And dating with purpose, you ain't out there trying to hook up with folks because, there's a culture out there. It's a hookup. You just trying to find who you can hook up with. You do your thing and then, move on. You don't want to do that because we definitely want to be mature in Christ. But go ahead.
There's a Christian culture that way. I want to say that there's
Go
a
ahead.
Christian culture that way, right? There's some Christians that is just looking for hookups, right?
Yeah.
They're looking for hookup. Be careful in that. There's those who are struggling with lust, right? They're
There it is.
believers.
Right.
They're a believer
Yeah.
struggling with lust. Be
Right.
careful. Get to know the person, right? Get to
Yeah.
know just because
Yeah.
they can be this, don't mean they're not struggling with this.
Right.
And and
100%. Yeah.
and nobody is perfect, right? So understand that just because they have a scripture under their profile picture doesn't mean there's some real issues going on. And you thought, oh, they said Jesus in their profile and they're attractive, must be my husband, must be my wife. No,
Yeah. Right.
no. I've been
Right.
guilty of making those mistakes.
Me too.
Okay?
Yeah.
Be careful, get to know people, use your discernment, add God in it. Don't be led by your eyes more than you're led by the Spirit.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. Be be led of the spirit because it's hard out here sometimes when you get in your flesh, make all types of bad decisions. So we already know. But I'm gonna ask you one more question just because it's been an hour. We got more. We're gonna do this again, guys. I promise you, we're gonna do it again. If you down, bro, we're gonna do it again because there's
Absolutely.
so much more. I got like 10 more questions, but
I
I
feel
don't
like
think we got time.
there were some questions I didn't even get to the other half of. My bad, but I'm down to do it again.
Oh yeah, we'll do a part two for sure. But the last thing I'm gonna say is, Make it more a light question. What Bible character besides Jesus has impacted your life the most, and why? We end with that.
Ooh, that's a good one. Hmm. The most impacted my life the most. Um, man, there's so many characters, man. You talking? I
Come
mean,
on.
there's dang. I would have. I mean, it's low hanging fruit. It really
You gotta pick a good one. Yeah, think hard.
it's low hanging fruit. But I'm gonna go David, man.
Okay, talk about why. Why David?
I'm gonna go David because David was called at a young age, um, and still had a whole lot of maturing and learning to do.
Yeah,
David was a God's choice, but
there it
David wasn't
is.
perfect.
It was
David
not perfect. We know that.
David,
Yeah,
David committed adultery.
he did.
David had a body. All these different things,
He caught a body for
right?
sure.
And
Yeah,
check this out: had to deal with the consequences of that,
he did.
but,
Yeah.
but was still God's man.
Ooh, that's big right there. Yeah, there it
So
is.
and had to learn how to get back up again.
Yeah,
Had to learn how to recover. Right? He was called but flawed. And so for me, that resonates because my story is not clean in every area. I've made
yeah,
mistakes. I've
right.
done wrong, but always felt called as someone God has chosen before the foundations of the earth, and having to learn how to get back up again, learning how to bounce back, having a redemption arc to the story. It wasn't
Yeah.
always clean and pretty. I would say I'm not Saul to Paul, right? Is it there? Saul
Right.
was tripping, met Jesus, and then boom, went here. So I can relate more to a David story of called at a young age, but
Oh boy.
oh boy, that ride was crazy.
It was
But
crazy for real. Yeah,
the ride was crazy, but God. And so that
that's
redemption
good.
story that he had, the redemption arc, he made mistakes, but he was still God's man. And then also we know David is a foreshadowing, a one who pointed towards Christ. And I feel like
Ooh, there it
my
is. Yeah,
life, my story, it all points towards him.
yeah,
It points to him. What I've been through, the good, the bad, the ugly, all points towards him. And so, if I could be a representation of somebody who has gone through divorce, somebody
yeah.
who has made mistakes, somebody has thought about quitting,
All
somebody
of that. Yeah,
who had real struggles in life, yet God still gets the glory out of my life. Yet God has still chose to redeem me and use me and heal me, right? And
yeah.
heal me.
All of that.
If I can be that, then that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful testimony. It's a story of my ministry, story of my life.
Yeah,
It's a but God story, man. Yeah. Marcus was this, but God. Marcus
yeah.
struggled here, God, and I think that
That's
resonates with a lot
beautiful.
of people
Yeah,
because there's
that's for me.
so many people, bro, that don't have the cookie cutter story.
Right.
There's so many people who did. I grew up in church, but I tripped. I
Yeah.
have, I'm talented, but I went through.
Come on.
I'm gifted, but I went through.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of playing church. I'm tired of trying to make it look like I'm perfect. I want actual relationship with God. So if I can be a beacon of light for that, like
Amen.
not playing and pretending to be church, but true relationship with God. Not I gotta act like I ain't never made no mistakes. I can be honest that I have, but God,
Yeah.
I'll be that all every day of the week. Yeah.
Man, that's beautiful, man. I love that. Thank you for expressing that. Thank you for your time, brother.
Yes,
Pastor
sir.
Marcus McGhee. You know what I mean? I would have chose Barabbas for myself because I deserve to die. And I'm Barabbas. We all are Barabbas if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? But Jesus took the punishment for the ones that deserved it. You know what I mean? So we thank God for that. But right before you get out of here, I want you to get the last word. Tell them about True Valley Church. We got a service coming up on Sunday. Now, come on, talk about the church just a little bit. We got to do a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen. If y'all free on Sunday,
Come
okay,
on.
nothing
Yeah.
else going on, okay, or if you got everything going on, I want y'all to cancel it right now.
Cancel it right
Join this.
now.
Yeah, cancel right now. Cancel your plans. Tell everybody, get your whole family, get your friends. Tell them it's an emergency. Text them 911. Meet you you're going to True Valley Church. They need to come with you. True Valley Church, Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
At Valley High School right here in Phoenix. Look up Moon Valley High School, where it's at 3625 West Cactus Road, Phoenix, Arizona,
Yeah.
85029, 11:30 a.m. Listen, right now we're going through the book of Daniel. We're in some prophetic books right now. I'm going to preach
Yeah.
chapter this week. Y'all don't want to miss it. We've been dealing with a little bit of eschatology. We've been dealing with God, what God has to say to us in the back half of this book. Y'all don't want to miss it. There's community. Hey, check it out. There's coffee.
Pull up on us. I love
Pull up
y'all.
on. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you for your time, brother. We will do this again. To my audience, I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all. I can't even talk. Do it again. That's
We'll
my
talk to
love.
y'all
Hey,
again. We'll talk to y'all again soon.
I'll talk to y'all again soon. I might leave this. I might not edit it out. We'll see. But you guys have a good day. All right. Peace.